Canterbury Bulldog and former Moree lad Matt Ryan, along with some of his teammates, received a warm welcome from some eager young fans. His talents on the football field were nurtured in Moree.
I'm a local bloke here. I played all my local junior football here from the age of 5 till I was 19.
He was back on familiar turf to take part in a charity touch football game as part of the Moree East Public School's fate, the league lad forgetting the rules in a moment of weakness. And while it was a low-key event, he was quick to offer his opinion on the recent changes to the boundary rulings in the local league competition.
I think they're, splitting up the two Moree sides. I think it's a bit of a cop-out by the other two groups.
The operation began at sunrise, using a helicopter to spot the whale. Fishermen stood by with 500-metre long nets, and a SeaWorld vessel had a specially designed pontoon in place. Concerns for the survival of the whale prompted drastic measures. The aim was to close the nets around the 10-tonne whale. The inflated pontoon would carry the creature across the Harrington sandbar and several kilometres out to sea. 5 top veterinarians were prepared to tranquilise the whale if it put up too much resistance, but it never came to that.
It stayed out away from the riverbank a little bit too far. We expected it on its third pass down the river to come in closer still, but that's when the wind didn't do what we would have wanted it to do and stay away.
SeaWorld researchers played the waiting game, trying to anticipate the whale's next appearance. By 8:45, poor visibility stopped the operation. The rescue mission was going according to plan, but it was aborted when the westerly winds reached 40 knots. The situation remains urgent and a second attempt will be made tomorrow morning. Tracy Walsh, NBN News.
While congratulating the federal government on its recent drought relief payment scheme, Mr Fay argues it doesn't go far enough. The Premier's biggest concerns are for rural families forced to sell off equipment and properties just to meet daily living expenses. He's called on the Prime Minister to take more responsibility for matching contributions to charities, special social security payments and subsidies for importing feed. Mr Fay says the Defence Forces can play a part. He wants the Army to help transport water to towns where limited supplies will dry up within the next few months. Meanwhile, Operation Anglicare was launched in Newcastle today.
We hear stories of whole herds of cattle having to be destroyed, breeding stock having to be destroyed, so the future is looking very grim for some families.
Coordinated by the Samaritans, the scheme is designed to link the needs of farmers with the resources of city dwellers.
We'll maintain a database of requests and a database of offers of assistance and try to match them up. And this will help to extend the support to farming families whilst the drought continues.
Melinda Smith, NBN News.
Well known throughout the Newcastle business and sporting community, Paul Murphy's appointment follows a restructuring of the club's finances. Newcastle business interests now control a large share of the club, while former chairman John Horsell, who'll remain on the board, has reduced his financial involvement. With this in mind, Paul Murphy, the president of the Newcastle Chamber of Commerce and Industry, was seen as a logical choice to take Newcastle to new heights on and off the court.
I would like to obviously see us come home with a bacon. We want to win that championship. That's going to be a prime objective. But I think that we've got to become financially strong and viable. We've got to have a product that we can say to the people, here it is, here's the Newcastle Falcons. You know, what can we do for you?
Meantime, Falcons coach Tom Wiseman is continuing his search for new imports, holding talks with former South East Melbourne player Bruce Boland in Newcastle today. Boland would be an attractive long-term proposition for the club, as he'd be naturalised by the 1996 season, allowing the Falcons to then use another import.
We're going to have talks with him and have a little bit of a look around, show him the beautiful city of Newcastle and try to entice him to come and play here.
He's not what you'd expect for a champion strongman, but 35-year-old Greg Lancaster is all muscle. The state and Aussie champion in the 56-kilo class, Greg is seeking further glory at the world titles at Johannesburg in South Africa. Powerlifting is not the same as weightlifting. Different types of lifts are used, with the bottom line being incredible feats of strength. Greg is capable of lifting 170 kilos, or more than 3 times his own body weight. He started out 12 years ago trying to get fit. He now works out 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, and wearing the green and gold makes it all worthwhile.
Big thrill. I think it's probably only just hit me in the last probably 4 weeks or so, but yeah, it sure is, yeah.
Proud Aussie?
Yeah, and proud Singletonian too.
And it looks like it could be in the blood. Greg's 3-year-old son, Beau, seems keen to follow in Dad's footsteps. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
The Great Lakes Bushfire Brigades received just over $500,000 this year in funding.
It was a significant increase for Great Lakes Shire, up 62%. If they want to upgrade their equipment, then I believe that we have kicked the can very significantly at state government level.
But the volunteers say the money allocated is not enough to pay for basic equipment, such as a fire truck for each brigade, new hoses and essential breathing apparatus. This station at Bungwall is barely a shed, infested by white ants. The Pacific Palms Brigade is lucky. It has a garage and a generator donated by the public. The 700 volunteer firefighters in the council area have compiled a $3 million wish list of items that would bring them into line with other brigades in the state. The member for Myall Lakes says the request should be aimed at the Great Lakes Council rather than the state government.
Councils are in charge of their own destiny. If they want breathing apparatus material, then they can go and buy it. They can buy it out of the funds we've given them.
These students have been getting a taste of what it's like to run their own hotel. For the past year, they've made the journey 1 day a week from Nelson Bay High to the Anchorage to gain valuable experience in the daily operations of a tourist resort.
They're learning the reception skills for major motels and resorts. They're getting real accreditation in TAFE. That's not just a course that's made up for them. They get advanced standing into whatever area they choose to go into.
What makes this joint secondary schools program unique is that it offers hands-on training in a booming industry.
I think it's been very successful. It's given us an opportunity to have a look at what young people are around in the area as potential employers. Obviously, as an employer, we're always looking for bright, energetic new people.
The course is counted towards the HSC and further TAFE studies and provides an insight when it comes to choosing a career.
I've learned a lot about hotels and front office procedures, how to book in a guest and use that information in the future.
I want to get into the hospitality industry, preferably management, but I'll see where we go from there.
The Land and Environment Court's decision to clear the way for further work on the power station has given Singleton Council great confidence for the future.
This decision will be a beginning. Hopefully this will be a continuing program of this type of development. If we keep within the guidelines, we believe that these type of power stations should be developed.
The $220 million station to be built near the Warkworth mine in the Upper Hunter will employ 300 people in the building stage. It will take 50 people to work the plant. Greenpeace fought against Singleton Council's approval of the project, taking it to the Land and Environment Court, arguing the power station was a danger with greenhouse gas emissions.
That there is an Australian culture. Not a subject your average group of 12-year-olds would argue about, but one Cahaiba public in the affirmative and Metropolitan Southwest representing the negative found themselves tackling. Beginning in the Hunter 8 years ago, the competition has grown to include 6 other regions across the state. Today's battle, the final in the series. While there was disagreement about the definition of culture, both sides came up with strong arguments.
There is an Australian culture. It is our way of life and our traditions. Yes, we are all Australians, but we are many cultures which have persisted because there has not been enough time for Australia to develop its own distinguished culture.
The Standard High adjudicators found their job a tough one, the vote going to the negative team.
Basically what decided the debate was argument, and that's really the crux of debating. And at the end of the debate we felt that the negative had taken the initiative just a little bit further than perhaps the affirmative did.
The English side rolled into Newcastle after an 8-hour trek from Canberra. The slightly weary visitors keen to improve on yesterday's 2-wicket loss to the Prime Minister's 11.
That wasn't too much of an important game. This one's a more important game for us with the first test only a couple of weeks away.
The biggest bugbear for England is its injury count. With 4 players sidelined, the visitors haven't been able to select their best possible team. Saturday's game against New South Wales may see some new faces take the pitch.
I think Sean will play his first game of the tour in Newcastle. Stewie's less than 50-50, I think.
And the others?
Graham Gooch is probably likely to miss out, and Thorpe again is 50-50.
It was a sentimental return to Newcastle for off-spinner Sean Udall. He played with the city's Hamilton Wickham club in the 1989-90 season. That spell included the earthquake.
That was an experience and a half, that. I was on a bowling green and all of a sudden it started to move sideways, so I had to get off and run pretty quickly.
Meanwhile, the Blues have only one change to the lineup for Saturday. Wicketkeeper Phil Emery pulling out after developing an infection in his injured left thumb. His replacement, Manly keeper Craig Glassock. The 4-day game kicks off here at No. 1 Sports Ground on Saturday. The local association will be out to impress visiting Australian Cricket Board officials with its ability to host an international game, as Newcastle is bidding for the right to host a test match at this venue during the city's bicentennial year in 1997. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
Because things aren't so bad down that way, the Wingecarribee Shire decided to pass around the hat to help pay for water karting in the northwest. Today, the Mayor and the General Manager travelled to tiny Bullara School, 75 kilometres west of Moree, to hand over a cheque for $3,500. $5,000 worth of non-perishable groceries will follow next week.
We felt that it was good for people in the drought areas to feel to know that someone else was thinking of them.
While the Goonell Creek usually supplies toilet and garden supplies, drinking water relies on tanks, and they've been dry for more than a year, meaning every litre has to be trucked in.
Council will be looking at this over the weekend, and we'll be coming out with a program next week where we can use the Wingecarribee money for this particular service. And Bullara was the first off the rank today.
At the age of 8, the Central Coast Stephen Dewick was inspired by the gold medal winning performance of John Seaborn at the LA Olympic Games. Now 18, Dewick's own success could also motivate a new generation.
I hope so. I mean, you know, Australian swimming have got so much to offer. You know, we were dominant in the 50s and 60s, and 1992, the last 3 Olympics, we've won 1 gold medal. I think by year 2000 we'll win a lot more than 1 gold medal. We'll smash them.
An unknown before the Games, Dewick won a silver medal in the 100 metre backstroke and then gold in the 4x100 metre medley relay, breaking the Commonwealth Games record in the process. Under coach Gary Toner, he shaved almost 2 seconds off his personal best and spent a day in Maitland and Beresfield advising other budding backstrokers. Dewick's quest to reach the top of world swimming has just begun, and amongst a hectic program has targeted the Pan Pac Trials next March and another record.
Yeah, I want to break the Commonwealth record at Trials next year. So if we do that, then we're going on the right road to Atlanta 96 and hopefully Sydney 2000.
With room to grow, the prospectus issued by Hunter First offers 10 million shares at $1 each. The board of directors includes 6 prominent businessmen. The first $1 million has already been pledged. The company says it's offering an alternative for small businesses looking for money to grow.
We're not a security lender, we're an equity lender. We come in, we take a share of the company and we provide that company with capital and also with expertise.
Potential investors were invited to the company's official launch. Hunter First represents Australia's only regional pool development fund, an initiative supported by the federal government.
The government taxation concessions now make it worthwhile for people, companies, superannuation funds, just individuals in the Hunter, to invest in this type of operation.
Today's event also coincides with news of a Hunter Regional Development Organisation spearheaded by federal member Peter Morris.
And it will give us, for the first time across all levels of government, across all major interests, a single voice in working together to strengthen the economy of the region, to create more jobs and to develop business.
The deterioration of Mud Creek has locals fuming. The once clean creek is dying, taking with it scores of fish. People in the area began a concerted campaign to save the waterway, and it seems that pressure has won funding. Lake Macquarie Council today announced plans for a major clean-up.
The total project is in the order of $500,000, $500,000 to be shared 3 ways between Lake Macquarie Council, Public Works Department and the Hunter Water Corporation.
The state government is yet to confirm its commitment to the project, but council is confident of the money. More funding for local creeks has been announced, $200,000 for North Creek at Warners Bay and $100,000 for Windermere Creek at Morisset. The creeks will be dredged to prevent blockages during times of flood. Peter Ryan, NBN News.